Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black in again. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Listen closely. All right, so here's the deal. The crux of my message lately has been, gentlemen, you must stop undervaluing yourselves. And this is really a lot of what Man of Tomorrow has been saying. Don't lower your own SMV or underestimate it. And not just that, but don't judge yourself strictly by the women's assessment of your SMV because of several reasons. And the reason I'm going to tell you is going to be, simply put, and Lionel McTower has been saying this too, but the reason I'm going to tell you not to judge yourself by that, and I don't think Angry Man is going to agree with me saying that, is because we've already seen the studies in the West. Mumia Obsidian Ali was the one that brought my attention to these studies. Shout out to him as well. Thank you, sir, for bringing my attention to this. 87% of approaches are likely to fail. 85% of men are pretty much invisible to women or outright unattractive. Only 15 to 13% of men and approaches are successful with women. And this is in the West. The same gender that struggles with low self-esteem and brings these issues to us and insecurities to us when we agree to get into relationships and marriages has a very narcissistic view of their SMV. And the one thing I have said that we men are guilty of is that, because we've allowed it. We have overinflated the SMV just as they have. We have agreed to it. And we have, by extension, conversely, underestimated and underassessed our SMV. And we've listened to these old niggas in the hood tell us, man, don't you never turn down no pussy. And we're paying for it. Because we have then put our validation as men in the hands of not only women, but childish women, because we've never forced them to grow the ukfup in the first place. What a vicious cycle it is. You can argue as to where it began. I don't care. You could say it began with biology. You could say it began with culture. You could say that the chicken or the egg. I don't give a guck which one it is. Because even if it's biology controls us, but we also control it. Because we have an understanding of biology. And everybody's going to grow old only once if they don't die young. So you're not going to have 2 and 3 experiences with growing old because we're not reincarnated. I don't believe in that. But what I am going to say is that we understand biology to the extent that we also can turn around and control it. So instead of us being dictated to by biology strictly, we're able to dance with it and negotiate to a certain extent, especially when we plan ahead. We have that capacity. Thank God for making us human. But we men looked at ladies and said, oh, they've got this, but they don't really want what we want. Come to realize that in actuality, they want what we want, meaning sexually. They just want the world in exchange for it. And here we are, trying to clamor to get the world in exchange for some funky peace leader that's going to bleed a minimum of 5 days out of every month, if not more. Some women bleed for 10 days out every month and got the nerve to be against polygyny. So, that being said, I know that this sounds like the rantings of a bitter old man that failed with women, but see, the whole point is that I started this at a time when this was not going to be, it was not going to have any bearing and effect on my own personal life, but it may be able to help some of you while you're young, and even some of you that are elders. That's why I started this. I didn't start preaching this until I was aware that it would not affect my personal life, and therefore my sex life, good or bad. This way, the minute someone tries to shoot this message down, I can say, nope, see, not only is that not true, I waited until it was not going to be true, could not be true, before I started this. Next, you're going to have to attack the talking points themselves on their own merit. Gentlemen, again, you have undervalued yourselves. I did the same thing. Now, for the most part, I refused to do it for the most part. A little better about that than other guys my age, but even I made that mistake to a lesser extent than other men. And I want to tell you that one of the reasons that ladies feel completely comfortable in telling all of us, you just mad because you didn't get X, Y, and Z, is because we started off with this mess. Nobody broke the cycle and told these young guys that old nigga over there is just an old nigga, an old fool, telling you don't never turn down no funky peace sleeve. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. He's the first one I heard use that term. Since apparently that has not been told to us for 3 generations growing up, we need to be the ones to tell these young cats, look, you turn it down for any reason they would turn you down. And I'll tell them, you turn it down because they won't marry you. Because they're not worth standing in front of God with a funky smelling genital behind, without a marriage contract. And don't marry them in front of the state either. Not in the West, not in a jurisdiction that allows alimony. Don't do that. And by the way, because California allows for alimony after 10 years if he's maintained her and all this other stuff, because of that, that's actually one reason why many celebrities divorce within 10 years. Divorce lawyers will tell many of the celebrities and actors, in 10 years, if you maintain her lifestyle, she qualifies for alimony. Or he qualifies for alimony. Of course, women ain't going to do that. No, it ain't going to marry a man under conditions. A lot of these women know the alimony laws already. But, these lawyers will tell the men, 10 years she'll qualify for alimony under these conditions. And these men, you know what? 9 years is coming up. I don't think this shit's worth it. I'm going to go ahead and file right now. Just get rid of her. Because I'll be damned if I'm going to pay this bunky Fitch some alimony in exchange for this paltry punani. But gentlemen, you've undervalued yourselves. You certainly have. And we learned this from the same old niggas that would tell their daughters the opposite of what they would tell us. And they were telling us, don't never turn nothing down. We can credit them for that. But when you think about it, gentlemen, this understanding is going to lead to you and I jumping to many or sharing many of the same conclusions as women, while differing on the premises for these conclusions. One of them is the crime that starts with an R, if you're talking about it in the English language. 4-letter word starts with an R. It's illegal, and it should be. It is a moral outrage to women and to men alike. We just instinctively understand the moral outrage of it. Nobody here is going to support it. Not my black behind, not you, not her. But the reasons are going to be different. Outside of the moral outrage with which we can agree intrinsically, there is, again, this issue of how we are valued. You see, they are against it because it undercuts their ability to withhold it to extract things of value in life that they want. That's why they disagree. That's what that's about. I disagree with that crime for the converse reason that you are not of some intrinsically negative value sexually that you should have to do that. That's why. To me, I see it as you taking something that should be quite expensive and forcing it on somebody without charging them. You ain't charging them for it. You're forcing it on them for free. That's why I disagree. Same reason that they would disagree with women raping men is the reason I disagree with men raping women. They disagree. If you think about it, you look at these ladies, do they agree with men raping women? Of course they don't. We don't, they don't. Would they agree with women raping men? Of course they wouldn't. Would their reasons for the two disagreements be the exact same? In many cases in the West, absolutely not. No, in many cases, it is because when he does it, he's getting something expensive by cheating and force instead of, going through all the headaches that they want to put men through to get it. When she does that to him, she is giving away something valuable by force instead of putting him through all the headaches. Either way it goes, they want to see men go through headaches for every shot at the vagina we get. Unless, of course, you're just one of that 13% they just want to screw. Even then, in the long term, they want you to go through some kind of headache. It's just less than what they ask for from us And even those guys would say, no, not even that much. Not even that little. No, not doing it. So that's really what's going on here. And what I'm saying to you is that the reason they would disagree with women forcing themselves on men is the reason that we should disagree with men forcing themselves on women. We are not of some intrinsic negative value sexually right off the bat from jump, except that we believed we are. That's it. Well, you know, the boy dog always got to go to the girl dog. When you realize that we're not dogs, then you understand the gift that we have in our humanity. And all of a sudden, you realize, you know what? They need this thing between our legs too. And since now they're liberated, strong and independent, we can make this an even exchange. Or, since ours doesn't bleed a minimum of 5 days every month, we can actually extract something of value from them. But we'll be damned if we're going to act like we're the ones with the negative value, only redeemed when they sexually validate us. That being said, gentlemen, before I go, I'm going to say this. I do discuss this more than I discuss money, because money by nature is only valuable if everybody doesn't have a bunch of it. That's what that means. That's what money, anything that's valuable enough to exchange for other things has to be also not possessed in large quantities by many. Can't be too readily available to everybody. So I can sit up here and talk about money, and yeah, but see, at the end of the day, it's still money. If enough people have enough of it, its value is just going to drop proportionally to it. And I've got my own ideas, but I would definitely get, I mean, hell, they would probably send a drone strike after me if I told you what really black folks are going to have to do to have money. And I mean, enough money to be wealthy. A drone strike will be called in on me within a few days. They figure out who I am, find my number, drone strike. I don't know what would happen then. I mean, to the people that I live next to, because I don't live in buildings by myself. So, no, I can't. In other words, I'm not ignoring the fact that there's money and there are other things in life. It's just that there's a reason I don't really discuss them. Plus, other people know more about it than I do. When it comes to men and women, God cares more about her libido and his libido and chastity than he cares about her materialism or our materialism, which is why he made enough men and women to go around for each other, provided that, you know, polygyny is allowed and polyandry is not. But he didn't make this world such that everybody gets to be wealthy. Somebody actually has to be poor by comparison alone. Now, my ideas as to who should be poor, well, revolutionary. But when it comes to this men and women thing, it ain't got to be as complicated as it is. It just is. And it wasn't us that did that. So that's why I talk about this and I don't really discuss the other stuff. The other thing, too, is that naturally speaking, men and women are drawn to each other. And so we men have to react to an unnatural situation. Although it's been going on for a long time, long before the modern era or the postmodern era, long before this has been going on, yet and still it's unnatural. And we have to react to this. And now, because we're able to get more information than we were previously able to get about this stuff, we have to actually use this information. And that's why I talk about this. See, this is something that can be somewhat solved. Money, there's never going to be enough to get everybody to stop chasing it. That won't happen. Not in this life. But what goes on between men and women can conceivably be tamed to a sustainable and tenable situation. But in order for that to happen, we men are going to have to come to an understanding that we are not cheap and worthless and carrying a negative value. And that the redemption of that does not rely on their validation, especially when we have to be adults and they don't. And even that is because of us making it too damn easy. Not requiring maturity and a sound mind from them, because we just want to stick it in them. Look, they want someone to stick it in them. What has been required of them for this? Nothing. I've said enough. You get the idea. I hope one day this recording will no longer be necessary. And in the meantime, I hope it helps. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum and black heterosexual male power just because they don't like it.